Yo, this game sucks ass. So in the past 2 videos I made about Persona, all I really realized is that Persona fans can't read, and that Twitter.com gets real mad whenever I breathe in their direction. And if these motherfuckers got mad at me for saying that Persona 4 ain't that bad, but it's still pretty damn bad, then man, I can't wait to see what the fuck they gotta say about this shit. But honestly, if I've been saying I hated modern Persona for this long, it's literally no surprise to anybody that I think Persona 3 is by far one of the worst Megaten games I've touched, if not one of the worst games I've ever played in my entire life. You know, right down there with Sonic Heroes. I don't really play a lot of bad games, if you couldn't tell. You know, I've been reading all the comments I've been getting on my recent videos, and there's a gang of people in there trying to compare the games I like to Persona 3, or say that the only good modern Persona game is 3. And from what I can understand, y'all think this is the best Persona game because it's got the best writing, the best characters, and the best plot. And you know, sometimes, even if I don't agree with people's opinions, I just assume that maybe they see something I don't in the games that I don't like particularly. But this time, I was just looking at my screen like, bitch, what? This is straight up probably the hardest video to write for, since the core issues I got with Persona 3 are so basic, so astonishingly apparent. First time I played the game all them years back, I already seen issues with the game, and replaying the game now with friends who don't even know shit about Persona or Megami Tensei in general, they already see the issues with the game. The hardest part for me right now is trying to figure out a real proper way to get into this whole discussion, you feel me? And I don't really know where to start. Alright, anime. I've seen a lot of people ask me why I don't like anime. I thought I made this shit pretty obvious at this point. You know, like I make it pretty damn clear that when I say anime, I mean the shonen anime power of friendship, you're the good guy, they're the bad guys type shit. Top it off with the creepy anime girl dating sim type shit, the sexualizations of said little girls. I don't fuck with that shit, bro. Like the shitty ass sense of humor that boils down to, whoa, look at this anime girl naked. It's funny because it's perverted. Whoa, this girl got really close to me. Haha, isn't that wacky? Like, this shit comes across to me as super lazy, since literally every single one of these games uses this kind of humor. Every single time I've talked shit about anime in these games, calling them generic and tropey, I've made damn sure to show what the fuck I don't like. Yeah, but I guess I'm being intellectually dishonest by choosing to respect the intelligence of my audience and hoping that when I say anime shit and show the anime shit that they pick up on what the fuck I'm talking about. You know, I'll make sure from now on that I break down every single point to an insultingly basic degree just so some fuck don't get confused no more, you know. Don't want to be a snake. Low-key, I think that could actually sum up my feelings on Persona 3 pretty perfectly. Insultingly basic. You know, a while ago, I made a poll asking folk what their favorite modern Persona game was out of 3. And Persona 3 held a first place spot pretty convincingly, you know, with most people complimenting the story and the characters, which is probably some of the worst I've seen in a fucking video game in a long while. You start the game and you're immediately thrusted into this loud-ass, weirdly composed anime cutscene. It's super obnoxious, and this bitch puts something that looks like a gun to her head, but if you watch the opening to the game, you know that's not actually a gun, so there's no real suspense. Why is she doing that in the first place? Hello? What was she even trying to do here? What was the goal? But suddenly, shit starts getting interesting as the scenery around you gets darker and more mysterious with these big ass coffins all around. It's a gigantic contrast to the first half, and it's honestly pretty enveloping. You know, but then it's all ruined because literally nothing happens. But then something happens.
Takeba, wait!
But then it stops again. And that's it. Every night at midnight, a special 25th hour of the day called the Dark Hour occurs, only accessible to people who have the potential. You know, the Persona users at your school form a group called Seas that explores Tartarus, a tower that forms during the Dark Hour and fights shadows. Since your main character's arrival back to your hometown of Tatsumi Port Island, on every full moon, a larger, more dangerous shadow escapes Tartarus, and it's up to you with your newly awoken Persona power to team up with your friends and stop them while exploring Tartarus. And literally nothing else. The gameplay consists of the newly introduced calendar system that the series is known for, where you play out every single day of the year, with you deciding on how you spend your time, hanging out with friends, studying for exams, playing games at the arcade, or just chilling out by yourself. But during the dark hour, you have the ability to explore Tartarus, where the game turns into a more traditional JRPG with turn-based combat, monsters to fight, experience to gain, and items to find. But before I could even get into the rest of the game, here's the issue with the way the whole game is structured. If big shadows that are integral to the plot only appear during a full moon, and you gotta play out every single day in the month, y'all already see the issue, right? The pacing in this game is practically non-existent, and you're basically forced to play out every day with no goal to tangibly look forward to narratively. Sometimes you'll luck out and the game will drip feed you a cutscene in the middle of a month. If you're lucky, maybe you'll get even 2 or 3. But most of the time, they're so poorly written that to me, it just comes across as a cheap setup for a plotline later on in the game, or in most cases, a massive exposition dump where the characters sit around telling each other their backstories and motivations.
It's been almost 14 years since we met at the orphanage.
Dad, this old letter of yours. We must have read it 1,000 times since it came last spring.
You see, my parents have an inferiority complex because all my relatives are doctors.
And yo, that's just the entire story. You're expected to be enveloped in the world presented to you and be interested in what the fuck is going on, but the way the story paces itself, any kind of suspense just deflates until you stop caring completely. So near the end of the game, when you're supposed to relate to and care for the world and characters you've been interacting with for the past 100 hours, you just can't, because everything in the game so far has been real disconnected. But alright, it's cool. You know, maybe the story is kind of whack for 90% of the game. Most Megami Tensei games are still pretty great if you exclude their narrative, I guess. So even if I didn't like the way the game is structured, maybe the way the game plays might be better. Right? Alright, so I'm gonna keep it as real as I can be. The biggest criticism of Persona 3 I've seen on the internet is that the battle system is not fun. It's broken, the AI don't work properly, and it makes every version of the game that is not the PSP re-release inferior by design. And I gotta say, that shit is probably the most incorrect, stupid-ass assertion I ever did see about a video game since y'all motherfuckers try to tell me that this game is good. Persona 3 introduces a new combat style where all your party members are controlled by an AI independent of your actions, and you, as the main character, command them to try out different tactics, like attacking a single target, focusing on support, knocking down enemies, or standing by until later. And I think that this shit is fucking wicked. The main complaint I see from folk is that the AI don't work, and that's just not true at all. Hello? I think the AI in this game works real damn well, almost to a detriment. You set a party member to support, the bitch will fully heal you when you took some like 2-3 damage. You set a party member to knock enemies down, bro will just sit there because he don't got no fucking moves to knock anyone down. He looks so confused. Come on, man. Any issues I got with the AI was always my fault because I accidentally changed a person to do something that's not helpful in the moment. Or maybe because I changed someone to only use physical attacks and forgot to change it in the fight where the enemy reflects it. Say you don't like it, sure. But don't try and tell me to my face that it don't work and expect me to believe that you actually played a damn game. You know, when the shit works, and by that I mean when I remember to set them to the right command, this shit works real damn well. I honestly had a lot of fun with it, and it does something that other modern Persona games neglect to do at all. It contextualizes you as the leader of your group. You know, most of these games expect me to believe that my character is a leader that apparently the entire party depends on and that our whole spill relies on my being there. But outside of this game, it's never ever felt that way before. Persona 4, everything around me just kind of happens, and in games like Persona 5, Your main character literally never feels like a leader ever, since you're given several characters that fill that role for you. But in Persona 3, it makes me actually subscribe to the idea that the game is trying to sell me on, and that's something that I can give this game without a shadow of a doubt. Yo, but if we're talking about anything that's outside of the tactics system though, yeah, this shit kind of sucks, bro. I'm sorry. Also introduced in this game is the new Once More battle system, where everybody got resistances and weaknesses. Hitting those weaknesses knocks down an enemy and gives you the opportunity to act again. Once all enemies are knocked down, you get the chance to do an all-out attack, which is just a big, heavy-hitting attack that hurts all the enemies on the field. You know, it's cool for the first couple times, sure, but you know, after a while, the monotony of it all really starts hitting about 10 hours, 5 hours into the game, and it gets real damn annoying.
Here's our chance now. Let us commence within all hours. Let us commence. Here's our chance for an all-out attack.
I wish you would shut your ass up. Damn, fucking damn much. I'm in pain. Niggas trying to shut up. Shut up.
So basically for Persona 3, they looked at SMT Nocturne's press turn battle system and saw the fun, fast-paced, engaging, yet challenging gameplay and went, fuck you, this shit is too hard, let's make it so that the entire game is one-sided as hell later on in the game, because the opening part is not very good. You know, you're just expected to carry the entirety of the first two blocks, which makes up the first, I don't know, 20, 30 hours of the game by yourself, which feels like it just lasts forever, because outside of normal enemy encounters, every block has a set number of mini-bosses that you fight when you climb higher up the tower. And most of these things are just a toss-up between an easy waste of time or a boss that basically says, fuck you kid, stop playing the game the way you want, have fun figuring out the optimal way to beat me, or just don't play at all. And this is an issue that lasts the entire game with virtually no real sense of an earnest challenge anywhere at all. Fusion is still a stupid ass boring mess due to the fact that if you want to get the skills you want on a specific persona, you have to exit the menu and reselect the fusion you want to reroll the skills. This shit wasn't fun in SMT Nocturne, and the fact that this game made 4 years later made zero effort to improve upon it is fucking insane. You know, these issues don't really stop later on in the game either. You kind of just get introduced to more party members that make it so that you're not the only one doing work no more, but the issues with grinding still exist and the obnoxious bosses are still there. It's just slightly more flexible than it was before. And that's not even mentioning the biggest issue I have with the gameplay, and that's been an issue with modern Persona ever since this game came out.
No! Please get up!
When your main character dies, it's game over. This is by far the dumbest shit I ever seen in a fucking video game from a ludonarrative perspective. In a game like SMT Nocturne or Strange Journey, the game ending when your main character, you know, the one who literally controls all your party members, and without your being there, they'd probably just go step out and do something else, it makes sense that the fucking game ends there. But in a game like this, where losing all your HP is contextualized as being knocked unconscious, where your friends can easily revive you, where these motherfuckers are literally still alive in the fight when the game ends, why does it fucking happen? Especially in a game like this where 2 out of the 7 types of magic are instant death, where moves that instantly kill you if you're inflicted with a status ailment exists, where bosses can literally one-shot you. Well, fuck it, normal enemies in the game can fucking one-shot you. This shit don't make sense, and it is really fucking discouraging. Given how much of the game basically makes you grind, this just means whatever monotonous, unfun ass grinding you did on your trip to Tartarus ain't worth shit, because you gotta go back and listen to this stupid ass fucking music all over again. My God.
John in Tennessee, go ahead. What you want to say?
That shit is fucking trash, dog. Get the fuck off the airwaves.
So the music in the game sucks. I'm not even gonna try to hide this one, bro. This shit sucks so badly. My big issue with the sound of Persona 3, on top of the fact that it just don't sound fucking good, is the fact that the songs play every single day. This shit like a mix of jazz and hip-hop and techno and classical music and pop, featuring vocals from Yumi Kawamura and the biggest fucking cornball rapper I ever seen in my entire life, Lotus Juice.
I'm a spiritual, lyrical individual, spiritual, miracle, lyrical individual, spiritual, miracle individual, skipping and flipping and dipping and skipping and flipping and dipping and illest, the killest, the skill.
The fact that the original game has over 50 songs, and for a majority of the game, you're listening to maybe 5, 6, maybe 7 if I'm giving it a little credit. It's insane. And on top of the fact that this game's calendar system makes you play out every single day in the year, it lacks variety, and the shit gets real grating and adds on to that feeling of monotony and the lack of progression I was talking about before. My favorite things about any Megami Tensei game, Persona or SMT, is just how every single game greets you with a wide and vibrant soundtrack with a very clear direction that serves to enrich the world you're in. But this game just don't do that shit at all. I don't know how to be nice about it. It just fucking sucks. Tartarus is even worse, with every single block being a variation on the same song. And honestly, I think this is the worst part of the soundtrack. Persona 1 and 2 have literally some of the best dungeon themes in all of gaming. And that vision, that passion that you feel poured into every single song in those games is felt. Can't say the same shit about this game because the entire time it's just annoying. But okay, it's fine. I'm chill about it. Ain't nobody praising the fucking gameplay of Persona 3 anyway. And if I didn't like the music, then that's fine. You know, that's just me. People's biggest praise of the game is almost always about the characters, and gotta say, they probably the worst part about this game too. Y'all seem to have this assumption that since my biggest issue with the characters in Persona 4 was that the development was relegated to the optional social links, that I'd instantly fall in love with the characters in Persona 3 because they actually develop with the story. And I'm like, y'all ever played any other video game? Or read a book? Or watched a movie? Consumed literally any other piece of media? Characters are supposed to do this, and just because Persona 3 the only modern Persona game to develop the characters in the fucking story, it's not a point of praise for the game by any fucking means. What's worse is that the character development in the game is all really stilted and awkward. I already mentioned before that a lot of the cutscenes in the game are just exposition dumps and shit, or blatantly explaining the motivations of the main characters. None of that shit ever feels genuine or natural or real. And honestly, it's just a fault of the poor writing and even worse voice acting.
Dad? Dad? Daddy?
Oh my god, he's fucking dead, yeah.
Nice, Hee-ho!
Yeah, thank you for the fall.
I know one thing
I'm not even
for
fucking
sure now.
stereo. What the fuck? You got characters like Junpei, who got the issue of being a real good character with a really good voice actor, but they're too busy being the butt end of every joke that their development just comes and goes whenever the plot needs it. You got this great arc where he's initially spiteful of your protagonist because you're assigned leader over him, and that feeds into his inferiority complex that's caused by family troubles that aren't really brought up until late into the game, which is something that seems to just get resolved out of nowhere, but then it gets brought up again literal months later, and I'm like, Junpei got it rough, man. A lot of people like to praise his relationship that's developed with Chidori throughout the plot, which I could kind of see the praise for, since the idea of a party member developing a relationship outside the cast that they can bounce off of is something that we don't see at all in modern Persona. But when you look back and realize that the whole crux of their story happens in literally 4 cutscenes of them awkwardly talking to each other with that staple awkward dialogue.
It's no big deal. I only draw because I like to.
Oh, yeah? Still, I'd like to see it when you're done, okay?
But then this bitch literally kidnaps him and tries to force him into canceling Yell's operation. And we supposed to believe both of them still got any kind of feelings for each other? Like, Chidori flip-flops back and forth so much before her character is killed off. It's not done with any kind of decent pacing or grace. So it, like everything else in the game so far, comes off feeling real rushed and especially weird.
This can't be happening. Chidori! Chidori, answer me! Chidori!
The game kind of does this where it shoves these deep and sad moments in front of your face and expects you to feel some type of way about it, but these things just aren't done real well at all. And again, the shitty voice acting and writing don't really help.
I was so focused on fighting that I didn't notice
So
anything
focused
else.
on being strong because at one point,
I was.
because at one point I wasn't strong enough, but now I wanted to be strong. But look, I'm not even strong enough. Wait, listen to this. Listen to this. Come on, bruh. A lot of the female characters don't feel like shit either. Like, Yukari exists to flesh out Mitsuru's character, and even then her character is a pretty basic, I want to atone for the actions of the people before me, which is literally the same as Yukari's character arc, except Yukari hates her parents, and then she doesn't hate her parents. Fuka is really boring, but low-key, I think the relationship between her and Natsuki is real sweet. Even though it's got nothing to do with the theme of the game, I really like the message of communication between people in the age where the internet was starting to grow bigger and bigger. It's something that actually stays true to this day, and it's probably the only thing about this game I will give genuine praise because of how well that shit was presented. But of course, that nice scene is ruined with this uncharacteristically fucking mean-ass exchange between her and the rest of the group.
Everything's okay now. I've made up my mind. I'll do as much as I can with my power. For my sake, as well as the sake of others.
Okay.
The social link system that Persona is known for is introduced in this game too. And I gotta say, it sure as hell feels like it's the first in the series, because goddamn, some of these stories are just real boring. But some of them, like the old couple who run the bookstore and the dying man Akinari, both serve the themes of the game real well and showcase the concept of death from different angles that we don't get to see in the story. And it's real nice. But then you get literal pieces of shit like this one with your teacher who you meet playing an online game, where she literally admits to you that she is an older woman who has interests in little boys and wants to abuse her power as a teacher to get closer with and seduce your character specifically. I don't. Like, listen, man, I don't really get worked up over shit that easy, but when I tell you that this shit made me mad, I mean, this shit got me mad, because this is just blatant Dateline NBC type shit, bro. There's no way around it. This weird fetishization of pedophilia is kind of fucking weird because it's just straight up glorifying a woman preying on a child, and it's presented in a positive or a joking light. And even when she looks back on Yo's conversation and says she don't like what she sees, she's not saying that because she admitted to a stranger online that she wants to smash a little ass kid. She says that because she was complaining about her coworkers.
What?
This shit is stupid, and the fact that you barely hear nobody talk about it is just telling of the kind of shit people are willing to ignore to praise a shitty ass anime game over the internet.com, bro. It's fucking sad, yo. Alright, imagine you're me, replaying this game after so many years and being all disappointed that this game actually turned out even worse than I remembered. to the point where I find myself not caring about literally anything the game is thrown at me no more. This walking plot device is introduced and does literally nothing for the month that he exists. Then he does more exposition dumping, again, with that horrible ass dialogue.
You're a shadow? I'm the embodiment of all shadows. The appriser.
The appriser?
The frightening truth about myself and shadows.
You know the truth about shadows?
The appriser.
You're the appriser?
I fell to Aegis.
Aegis? Ryoji, you're the appriser? None of this makes sense.
The maternal being is called Nyx.
Who the hell's Nyx?
All life will vanish.
All life will vanish?
You won't remember anything.
We'll forget everything?
Ryoji-kun's no longer here.
And at this point, I'm over the whole shit. But then, when being faced with certain death at the hands of Nyx, your party decides that even if it's considered futile to try and stop her, they find the resolve to make the impossible happen together. And as corny as that sounds, what happens afterwards is something I never thought I'd say about this game. On New Year's Day, something magical happens. The music outside suddenly changes. The atmosphere feels almost melancholic. The weather gets bleaker. The tone of the final month of the game is being set. And this shit feels real damn good. Honestly, the music here hits so fucking hard. This is like genuinely my favorite part of the game. Something I think is genuinely like, what the fuck, bro? Come on. For real though, the mood in the final month of the game is something that I'm willing to say is real good about Persona 3. It feels like the music finally harmonized with the tone of the game and the mood set by the plot. Memories of the City is the best song in this game, and deadass my favorite song in Shoji Megaro's entire discography. It's that damn good. It conveys a sense of dread and melancholy, sadness, desolation. It also has this nostalgic, hopeful, and reassuring feeling at the same time. It balances these emotions so damn well that to this day, this shit hits so fucking hard. It reminds me of how I felt playing a game like SMT4. It is that good. Setting the tone is one thing. The game actually following up on that is another. And of course, the game drops the ball so fucking hard, bruh. The party barely interacts that much. And Aegis, man, I don't even know where to start with Aegis. She's introduced in the game during summer at the group trip to Yakushima Island. And for 90% of the game, she's obsessed with being around your main character. And it's explained later during that big ass exposition dump that she did some weird shit and sealed death inside you when you were just a little kid 10 years ago when your parents died. And she's basically responsible for the entire plot of the game happening. And it's all just so stupidly convoluted, I don't think I can physically muster a bone in my body to care about it. Since her entire backstory just got spilled, and since she has no real character of her own, she spends the last month of the game being a voice for the protagonist and basically just regurgitates the themes of the game up until the very last cutscene. And true to the game, Aegis probably has the worst case of awful voice direction out the entire cast, where she constantly goes back and forth between this stupid ass robot voice and speaking normally. And it gets real weird after the final boss, which, by the way, not even worth mentioning, bruh. This is a 30-minute damage sponge with no challenge to offer and an automated instant win fight afterwards. But anyways, before the ending, Aegis just sits there on the rooftop with your main character who is literally dying while she's crying her ass off, again, regurgitating the themes of the game just in case you fucking didn't get it the first 6 times she talked about it. Your eyes feel heavy. Start dancing.
Start dancing.
Or you could start dueling, like me, Yugi from Yu-Gi-Oh! And then you die, and then the game ends. Was that a little anticlimactic? Sorry, I don't know what you expected from me, bro. I stopped caring about this shit like 60 hours ago. Without a doubt, This is one of the worst games I have played in a long while. And unlike Persona 4, where I found myself appreciating the game more by trying things I missed out on, doing the same for Persona 3, and not only did nothing about the game get better, I think it got worse. A bad, boring plot with dead pacing, poor writing, underdeveloped, uninteresting characters with little to no chemistry who spout exposition in a massive case of tell don't show, where I'm just supposed to believe that these people are somehow different and growing because they said so. Couple that with unfun JRPG gameplay with an inferior battle system that ruins the fun, fair balancing of a game made by the same company literally 4 years prior, with no sense of challenge outside of the game forcing you to grind inside an unchanging, visually boring singular dungeon with boring enemy designs that are literally reused and recycled for the entire game. And a social sim mechanic that feels half-baked with social links that, when they're not completely inoffensive, they're boring or in some cases absolutely vile. Just on some weird ass shit, bro. Like I'm sorry, bro. I cannot get over it. What the fuck were y'all thinking when you fucking... Oh, what the... This game is just not good. And I know there's a gang of people who are probably going to get mad at me saying that, but like, who the fuck cares, bro? Like, if you watching this video right now and you're all worked up because I said that anime game bad over the internet, then I'm going to have to ask you to take a step back and relax a little bit. My dislike for this stupid ass game should not really affect anybody in the way that my past couple videos has, and I think it's fucking weird. You can like what you like, but if somebody not enjoying the same things as you is grounds to go stupid in the way I seen people online act up recently, then I don't know, bruh, you need some help. The point of my videos were always been to disagree with and question the stupid ass common opinions I see and hear thrown around these games, because most of the time, the shit you hear on the internet is either super misleading or just in some cases completely fucking wrong. When I was replaying the game on stream, I seen a lot of people say the same stupid ass shit in the chat and in my comments. Why play Persona 3 if I hate it? Why play these games if I don't like it? Well, I play these games because I do, and I criticize them because I love Persona. I don't know, bruh, call me what you want, but when I'm given amazing games like Persona 1 and 2, and the next game in the series is a step back in literally every single way, I got a right to be mad about it. What bothers me about modern Persona has never been this, it's always been this. I could care less if they added a social sim mechanic, I could care less about social links and dating, I could care less about the shitty ass anime tropes that they use all the damn time. I care because it's just not fucking good. And when this is from a company that knows how to turn otherwise generic tropes and flip it into something unique, I got a right to be mad, bruh. That was always the vision of Atlas back in the day, to be an antithesis to the conventional JRPG format, a big ass fuck you to what the norm was. And I'm sure in 2007, Persona 3 was just that. But now, every JRPG wants to be Persona with their social sim mechanics and anime girl dating sim type shit. And nothing has really been done to stand out no more. The fact that we've been given better games with better plot lines, better characterization from Atlas, but Persona has continued to latch on to what was unique back in fucking 2007 to this day is telling of how dire the need for improvement and change is. I think no matter how much you like a game or a franchise, ignoring its faults is fucking stupid. If you continue to allow companies to get away with bad game design, bad writing, lazily developed characters, or half-baked mechanics, you are literally normalizing poor practices that will not change because it's just how Persona is. Ultimately, what I really want to see is people starting to make their own opinions about shit, you know? Not just repeating shit y'all hear from others and accepting it as fact. I'm talking real, genuine, from the heart feelings about things that you like. You know, if I can pull up and talk shit about one of the most universally loved games amongst Megami Tensei fans because I didn't personally enjoy it, then you shouldn't be scared to talk your talk about any of these games that you like or dislike. Just You know, make sure y'all actually play them first, though. Nah, but who cares? Simply Dad is gatekeeping and elitist. I win. Bye-bye.